Hi, this is Travis here at ExerciseLab with another video for you guys. I'm a doctor of physical therapy for those of you who don't know me. And just kind of a fun video today, nothing too heavy duty. I'm going to just basically show you some different exercises you can do with a battle rope that are somewhat unconventional. You know, even if you're not a bodybuilder, and I'm not a bodybuilder, it can be nice to do bodybuilding style workouts. And, you know, for many males and even females, that's kind of my entry point into essentially health and fitness. That type of thing was just doing bodybuilding style workouts because that was sort of the information available. I still like doing those type of workouts. You know, even if you're just trying to improve, general performance, sometimes it's nice to emphasize certain body parts. Sometimes it can be nice to emphasize certain aspects of your physique. And so I think there can be a time and a place for bodybuilding style workouts, even if that's not necessarily your thing. But a cool way to sort of incorporate some of those aspects with a battle rope, which I haven't really seen much in commercial gyms or really anywhere, even on the internet. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more of what I'm talking about, go ahead and stay tuned and we'll get started. All right, so pretty much in the same way you can do, rope style exercises, triceps, pull downs, that type of thing. You can do that with a battle rope. And so all you really need is this thing. This is a comfort, grip, essentially sleeve by Tsunami. Many companies make these. I happen to just have an extra one of these. And so I slapped it on. And so the cool thing is now all of a sudden I have a place to put my rope. And so what I can do from here now, again, attaching to, in this case, this is just a pulley system. If you had a selectorized, that would certainly work fine as well. Obviously, if you're in a commercial gym, you probably want to be mindful of who's behind you, depending on the length of the rope. But you just come in here, and then essentially I can do, a tricep exercise very much the same way that I would do a tricep press down type of exercise. So I just come in here, and I'm essentially going for triceps, nothing too fancy. It's basically just a rope press down the same way you could do that in the gym. Now, no reason why, and what I like to do sometimes with this, so a lot of times battle rope style things, you tend to do a lot of slam type movements. The difference is when you're doing a slam, it's more about picking up the rope and then slamming it down, versus here, because the tension is above rather than, coming straight down from gravity, you can try and do kind of a slam type movement here as well, where I'm almost trying to slam it down. And you can kind of bias a little more triceps or lats depending on, the way you're trying to slam it. And so sometimes what I'll do is I'll start out kind of strict doing triceps, and then the last few reps to kind of really hammer those triceps a little harder. I'll almost do some more slam style, kind of tricep extensions where I'm trying to be a little more ballistic. And I certainly could do that kind of as a finisher. And so sometimes I like to use it kind of just to extend the set, like I showed now, where I'm starting out strict. Then I kind of get, a little bit of that English in there, body English as they call it. And I can make that a little more dynamic. Now I can certainly also just do, a good old rope pull down. So I can come in here and more for the lats now. I'm not really going to be extending my elbows. I'm just going to find an angle that feels pretty good. And I would come in here now more for the lats. And again, the rope bunches up a little bit at the bottom, but that doesn't really bother me. And same kind of thing. So I can come in here where I may be being a little bit stricter on this. And then as I'm getting, a little more fatigued, I can almost try and do sort of a slam. Okay, where I'm maybe being a little bit more ballistic. And, again, I could, if I really wanted to work on speed, you can talk about how much weight you'd want to use. I'm not going to get into all that. I kind of do this more just kind of, again, to extend the set. I'm not trying to be a purist when it comes to power per se. But all that being said, this is a pretty cool strategy. So I like to just mix this in. Sometimes, if I'm just kind of in a workout, maybe it's winding down, I'm like, I want to hit a little bit extra arms. Sometimes I'll just throw this on, do a little bit of that. And I think that's a really cool way to kind of make a battle rope a little more like a traditional rope you might see in a commercial gym. All right, and of course, no bodybuilding style video could ever be complete without talking about curls. So I'm going to go ahead and speak to that now. The way you traditionally would want to do that, you spin your, so you don't want to hold it like this because that's just going to torque your wrists. So you're going to take your thumb part facing up. It'd probably be simplest to just do a hammer style curl, although you can do more of a supinated curl. So, I'd come in here, just kind of sit back a little bit, and then off I would go doing some hammer curls if I wanted to do a workout like that. Again, supinated would be turning the palms a little more towards you, which you can do that as well. Just a little more awkward at the rope. So I kind of like just doing the hammer style. And again, I can be a little more deliberate with it like that, or I could do kind of more of those pump style reps. And if I really wanted to get a little more ballistic, so again, I can start strict, kind of like that tricep press down, and I can kind of come in here, put a little bit of English into it to crank out, a few extra reps at the end if I want to do something like that. And then from there, I'm going to show you guys a row. I'm going to go ahead and just do a low to high row. I would just take my hands here, sit back, and I could do a row like this. Now, the thing about doing a row is, at a certain point when you're doing it like this, if you don't have a chest support, you're going to end up falling forward. So you're going to have to keep that in mind, as far as if you're going to want to do this exercise when your back is not that tired, because you're going to need to use a lot of weight to where you're going to probably end up falling. So typically, if I was going to do an exercise like this, also just because it's more grip intensive, I didn't mention earlier, but this is a 2-inch diameter rope. Because it's more grip intensive, you're going to want to probably do this when your back is already a little more pre-exhausted. So I probably would do this a little bit farther along. If I already did a different back exercise, I'm a little more tired, so I don't have to use so much weight on the stack. And that way I'm not worried about, pulling myself forward. It doesn't get too awkward. And that can be a nice way to do more of a low to high, or, kind of a horizontal style row. All right, now something else I want to show you guys is you don't just have to attach it to a weight stack. You can also just use it as an anchor to something, and then essentially use it kind of the same way you'd use like a TRX or a strap that's anchored to something solid. And so a lot of different ways you could do this. I happen to just anchor it down. I draped it over the top, but you could also just kind of, if you have a big enough carabiner, I could just put it around the top as well. But basically, once it's taut, then all of a sudden I have something I can pull on. And so, in very much the same way as a TRX row, you could come down in here and you could do some rows. And obviously, the steeper you are, so if I'm farther down, that's going to be more difficult. That's kind of a cool way to get some back, do some horizontal rows in a position like that. Similar to a TRX style, tricep extension, you could come down in here, hit those triceps. And again, the steeper I would be, harder this is going to get. And, if I wanted to kick this rope out a little farther in front, so it's not in my way, I could do that. But you basically get the idea, coming in here. And, again, the cool thing and the reason why you may want to do this with a rope instead of TRX is just get your grip working at the same time. So it's always nice to kill two birds with one stone. I just uploaded a video, the last one on Saxon grips, and I talked a little bit more specifically about grip training. But whenever you're able to grip train as well as train other things, I think it can be a good thing, unless the grip is going to be really limiting to you. So it just depends on what your priorities are. If you're really looking to maximize, say, the bicep, well, you don't necessarily want to be limited by the grip. But if you can bring that grip up while simultaneously stimulating the bicep, I think that can be a good thing. So again, just sort of always depends on what your goals are. But this is a cool way you can incorporate the rope with sort of some TRX almost-esque style movements. Certainly also, though, there's no reason why you couldn't do like a pull-up type maneuver. Now, in my case, I'm a little low here, so it gets kind of awkward. But if I had something higher to put this around, that'd be a great way to come in here and do some pull-ups. And so again, that could be a really grip intensive way to just kind of use this rope a little differently than what you might be doing in your commercial gym right now. All right, so another exercise, which I'd say is sort of a novelty exercise. Now, certainly if you had a sled, you could attach one of these to a sled. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to use a weight stack right now. And so basically I've just, put a knot in it here, so I just have one end. You don't necessarily have to have these wedges, but if you're going to lift really heavy, at a certain point, you may need the wedges, and that obviously assumes that the weight stack is going to weigh more than you at a certain point. But what you can do from here now, and I'm going to show you just a shortened version of it. I would probably be way farther back as if I was doing this as a real exercise, but just for demonstration, what I can do now is what I call a tug of war. And so I'm basically doing, a hand over hand type thing until I would get to the end. And then you don't want this to slide down your hands, so you'd probably want to wear gloves if you were going to do that. But you can just do kind of a hand over hand on the way back too to get some of that eccentric control. And so I'll come in here, kind of like a tug of war, and then I would, release it. And that can be a pretty cool way to just work your back muscles. Definitely going to challenge your grip, your forearms, a lot of the same muscles you'd use doing a tug of war. Now, I could put this more in the mid position. I could also have done it standing. I'm just showing you the seated version now. It does take a little more of a setup. You'd obviously need to have some space behind you. So this exercise may not be applicable for everybody, but it's just kind of a cool, fun one. If you really want to just get your heart rate up a little bit, you want to try to really work your hands, it can be a nice finisher if you're just looking to do something kind of in that more, strengthening / cardio aerobic department. All right, so that's pretty much the video for today. Just want to give you guys a few different ideas, maybe some less conventional ways you can use a battle rope. Certainly this stuff's not going to be deal breakers though. All this stuff is kind of more in what I consider maybe the novelty department. But again, if bodybuilding is the goal, aesthetic enhancement is the goal. Hitting your muscles from different angles can be a really good thing. It can be a way to provide some novelty, maybe a little bit of extra stimulation. Once again, I'm not really a bodybuilder, but I think using bodybuilding techniques, it does have a time and a place. Certainly when it comes to bringing up strength and balances and things of that nature, any opportunity you have to work your grip, I think is generally a good thing. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video for today. That's pretty much it. Just kind of a novelty video. More good stuff in the pipeline to come. I am going to still try to get to this BFR video, and I'm going to try and do that hopefully at some point in the near future. But once again, I hope you guys enjoyed this for today. Definitely subscribe if you like this stuff. And as always, I hope you have some fun.